Dear participants who joined us today here at the Slovenian Digital Center, and of course the participants that are joining us virtually, welcome to the European Blockchain Week. We started the European Blockchain Week successfully yesterday, and in the name of the organizing team of the Slovenian Digital Center and the European Digital Innovation Hub, I would sincerely like to extend the warmest welcome to all of you today. So firstly, we will start with some welcome speeches, and I would like to begin by welcoming to the stage Dr. Vlado Stankovski, Chairman of the Blockchain for Trusted Data Ecosystems Digital Innovation Hub of Slovenia. Please.
So thank you very much, and greetings to everyone at this event today. As we know, Europe is an old continent, and more than ever, today the world's eyes are looking at Europe. So when we travel to Asia, to the United States, we see that the values that are promoted in Europe are highly valued across the world. So we speak here about human rights, we speak about sustainability, energy efficiency, and many other really important topics that the world has to deal with these days. So there is this Next Generation Internet initiative of the European Commission and also of many governments across Europe that wish to actually adopt technology or change technology to the benefit of this type of, let's say, or to the solution of this type of problems. So what we want to see with many research and innovation projects nowadays are new technologies that can really work for the people and work for the nature, for the more sustainable and more beautiful future for us and the generations that are coming. In Slovenia, we have a really great potential because there is a lot of development in the past in the areas of blockchains, in the areas of artificial intelligence and other topics. And we feel that we can, together with partners across Europe and the world, work on this type of topics really efficiently. So for example, we have been running or technically coordinating projects of the next generation internet, like the On-to-Chain project, projects that cross the borders of Europe. So for example, the Decenter project between Europe and Korea and so on. And we have also recently founded this Digital Innovation Hub on trusted data ecosystems, for which we believe could play a really pivotal role in the future, so that people can better trust the data that is produced by practically millions and billions of IoT devices and the content that is being generated that we know that has to be trusted and used for any purpose. So this is the Blockchain Week. There is a lot of big program, actually a very complex program that has been compiled by, in collaboration with the Ministry for Technology and Development, then with the Digital Innovation Hub and the Technology Park of Ljubljana, sorry. So I believe one can see in this program really a lot of inspiration for this type of activities. So thank you very much, and welcome to this Blockchain Week. We hope we can talk further after this and collaborate with the participants. Thank you.
Next up, I would like to invite to the floor Mr. Zoran Stančić from DG Connect of the European Commission. Welcome.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, State Secretary. It's a pleasure to address you on behalf of European Commission, and thank you very much for the invitation on this conference. I would like to start by commending the organizers for putting up very impressive program and also for bringing together two key priorities of European Commission, most notably digital and green. This is why we have decided to actively participate in this week, and in addition to me, there is a series of European Commission's officials who will participate later on in panel. Why we are doing this? Simply blockchain and AI will be central to delivering more sustainable production and consumption. This is also why the Commission is working on policy frameworks to incentivize circular, low-carbon systems through things like digital product passports, the Sustainable Product Initiative, and also the value chain initiatives for electronics, textile, building products, and other sectors. And we are developing our data digital policy in line with this as we roll out our European Green Deal data space on all funding programs. So where we are and what do we want to do with blockchains in Europe? After the invention in 2008, blockchain and other digital ledger technologies today act as trusted technologies. Industry is increasingly confident that blockchains correctly deployed create value to business processes. It is also clear that blockchains will accompany the convergence of IoT, data processing and AI, and a gradual move from cloud to distributed edge computing over the next 5 years. To policymakers and industry, it is clear that blockchain is among the key enabling technologies that are strategically important for Europe's industrial future in mobility sector, in transport sector, in energy sector, in manufacturing, in supply chains, and also in financial markets. This is why we are already using EU policy initiatives for supporting blockchain. First, we are using public sector as trailblazers. The Commission supports the European Blockchain Partnership of EU member states plus Norway and Liechtenstein. As you know, since 2018, this partnership bundled different national efforts to develop blockchain capabilities for public sector. A first European version of the EU blockchain services infrastructure is ready to go live, and it will incorporate a number of different domains, for example, from fighting VAT fraud to recognition of diplomas. Our initial innovation procurement under Digital Europe program is being prepared, and it will have altogether 38 million euros already in 2021-22 call, and it shall act as catalyst and create market lead. Once up and running, private companies would also cooperate and use this infrastructure as a utility. Second, we are also investing. The recent AI and Blockchain Investment Fund of the EU will support startups with risk capital up to 1 billion euros of leveraged private equity. This comes on a top of already 200 million euros already spent for blockchain research and innovation since 2018. And in addition, the European Union will continue supporting research and innovation under Horizon Europe program with a focus on sustainability. Thirdly, we have a pro-innovation legal framework. To support investments and private predictability, and also to provide predictability, the Commission adopted a proposal for markets in crypto assets regulation. The legislation is well underway, as is legislative proposal for regulatory sandbox for blockchain in finance. The Commission also envisages funding under the Digital Europe program for pan-European regulatory sandbox for innovative blockchain solutions related to the European blockchain services infrastructure. Fourth, we are also working on very important domain on standards and interoperability. To facilitate access to international markets, the European Commission and Member States should be an active player in different international standard setting bodies. Last but not least, to advance our knowledge and federate Europe's blockchain ecosystem, the Commission has renewed the EU Blockchain Observatory Forum for 2020 to 2022, which will be launching initiatives for networking and consolidation in consortia around ledger tech leaders. I also want to stress the importance of the global cooperation. This is why we must continue to dedicate resources for work in relevant standardization bodies. Europe's voice must be heard at this fora, and we need a proactive standardization strategy to promote a fair level playing field. In this context, cooperation with the International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications is especially important. We are working with this association with the objective to better connect and to promote Europe's blockchain policy worldwide. This could be done through organizing a global blockchain congress in 2022, based on the success of the first such congress in Malaga in 2019, in which most of you participated. So to conclude, digital and green are the key priorities of von der Leyen's Commission. President von der Leyen clearly spelled out our ambitions in last week's State of the Union speech. Moreover, last week, European Commission also presented a very important policy document called The Path Towards the Digital Decade, in which actually we very clearly spelled out our ambition for bringing together activities of different member states on multi-country projects, and several of them are very important and very relevant, especially for this forum. I'm talking about a multi-country project titled European Infrastructure for Blockchain Services, Joint European Data Infrastructure and Services, and also Connected Public Administration. Therefore, the opportunities are there, and what we will make of them depends solely on us. I wish you a very successful and excellent blockchain week, and I also thank you for your attention.
And finally, for the third of our welcome speeches, I would like to invite to the floor Mr. Simon Zeitz, State Secretary at the Ministry of Economic Development and Technology of the Republic of Slovenia.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, I am glad to open the summit as a central event of European Blockchain Week, which this year is organized under the framework of Slovenian presidency of the Council of EU here in Digital Center of Slovenia. Today, when we are facing post-COVID recovery, fast and efficient digital transformation is one of the inevitable steps to approach the new normality. Next Generation EU is motivating us to focus on green and digital transition. It is also in line with Slovenian orientation and all European member states which prepared national recovery and resilience plans in 2020 and 2021. The title of the Blockchain Week, Blockchain and AI for EU Green Deal, is therefore very much in line with the European objectives. I also welcome the focus of EU Blockchain Week, which we will present through various panels, roundtables and workshops, how the advanced digital technologies like blockchain and AI can support faster and more efficient green transition in Europe. We can use blockchain, for example, to create material passports for tracing materials in circular economy. Furthermore, construction materials can be traced and scope of circular construction and ensure material sustainability. Enhancing efficiency based on the advanced digital, like blockchain and AI, it can have an impact on climate change and less burden on the environment. Additionally, If we converge other advanced technologies like Internet of Things, big data, and others, the negative impact of the environment and climate change can be even more successfully mitigated. Energy efficiency is one of the most important areas of green transition, and if supported with advanced digital technologies, it can substantially contribute to lower energy costs of the economies, savings, and consequently better competitiveness of the market. Besides industrial process, these technologies will sustainably disrupt legislation and regulatory framework on many areas of regulation, such as digital finance, introduction of digital package into our legislation of corporate law, consumer protection legislation, and intellectual property rights, as well as copyright regulation. In the recent years, Slovenia made substantial progress in blockchain and AI. We became members of European Blockchain Partnership, which we are co-chairing in the period of presidency trio together with Germany and Portugal. In the recent years, we are building a strong ecosystem, putting blockchain projects and companies in the center of the development, but also supporting environment and research and innovation stream. I would like to welcome the European Commission for its openness to collaboration with member states and experts from European countries, which really guarantees strong support to the development of the technological base for strategic autonomy of Europe. Together, we will implement all necessary steps to broaden the use of blockchain services and national and EU infrastructures, and to strengthen the use of blockchain and AI in industry and businesses. And I want to thank the Commission for co-organizing the EU Blockchain Week 2021. I would also like to thank all co-organizing organizations and ecosystems, EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum, INATBA, Blockchain for EU, and our national Slovenian co-organizers, Blockchain Digital Innovation Hub, Blockchain Alliance Europe, Blockchain Think Tank, Digital Center Slovenia, BTC, and Digital Innovation Hub. I am sure you will all be proud of the newest Slovenian pioneering project. Slovenia will, as the first country in the world, in the forthcoming days, launch its national non-fungible token, which will, in pilot phase, promote our activities connected to the Expo Dubai, with at least 5 presentations of companies and 5 of tourist destinations. As I said, it is a pioneering project, but with it, we are making our way to greener and more sustainable and digitalized future. Therefore, I invite you all to build our innovation with us. I wish you a successful conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all 3 speakers for welcoming us to today's event. Now we are starting with our introductory session. First, I would like to invite Mr. Pierre Marot from the European Blockchain Partnership of the DG Connect from the European Commission to give us a brief introductory speech.
Good morning, everyone, and many thanks for this invitation following the introduction by Zoran Stanzik to participate in this great event organized by the Slovenian presidency. I'm sorry not to be in physical presence today, but we hope that it's something that will be behind us in a few weeks or months. But today I can only intervene in a remote way. I would like to share with you actually the one slide which illustrates the different actions that we are conducting at the European level in cooperation with the member states in the blockchain area, and also to start to share our view about how this contribute to the convergence between with AI, but also with other technology, with the ambition also to contribute to the European Green Deal. So if I share my screen, I hope you can see this slide. Actually, it is an overview about the different actions that have been introduced already by Zoran Sanzic. And I would like to provide a few more comments on them. First, to start with the European Blockchain Partnership, where indeed we have the chance and the privilege to work with all the member states, plus Norway and Liechtenstein, in order to develop a common vision and also to launch coordinated action in order to reinforce the blockchain ecosystem or the different ecosystem around blockchain in Europe. And in doing so, we need step by step also to enlarge this type of cooperation to take into account additional technologies that intervene with blockchain in the future of our, let's say, digital new information system. The focus of the European Blockchain Partnership is currently on the development and the deployment of the European blockchain service infrastructure. We are now engaged with the member state in an early adopters program. The first technical version of the infrastructure is ready for operation. There are still some steps to be made in order to go toward the production. But our ambition through this project is really to facilitate first the implementation of cross-border public services that will benefit to the citizen and to the enterprises. That will also facilitate and make more efficient the interaction between different administrations. But in doing so, we will also provide an operational system. We'll provide an integration or pre-production system that will help step by step to enrich the number of use cases or applications that can be run on top of this infrastructure. And we aim also to develop a test or testing facility that, thanks to this infrastructure, we can also test and benchmark innovation in the technology, in the blockchain or distributed ledger technology, but also their interaction with other technology like artificial intelligence. We are not yet here, but this is really the journey that we want to develop together with the member state as part of this initiative. Very important also is, it was stressed by Zoran before, I mean, it's a partnership that we are also developing with the industry, thanks to our very strong relationship that we have with the International Association for Blockchain Application, where it provides us the opportunity to be engaged with the industry from Europe, but also beyond Europe, and as well as to have to participate in an international dialogue with other, let's say, authorities all across Europe interested by the blockchain. This is done through the government advisory body of the INABA Association. It's important since blockchain is still a technology which is not fully adopted and fully mainstream, to continue to monitor what are the different developments. This is what we do through the European Blockchain Partnership and through this European blockchain, through the European Observatory, Blockchain Observatory and Forum. And through this specific initiative, we have already had a workshop about the convergence between different technology or the contribution of blockchain to the green agenda, or also what is the situation regarding the energy consumption of blockchain, which is one of the, let's say, one of the points which was mainly related to the historical Bitcoin blockchain, but which still impacts the image of blockchain. And this is an image that we need to change, because the technology has made a lot of progress, and now we see that blockchain can not only contribute to specific system that will help to implement, let's say, action in the context of the Green Deal agenda, but also will reduce significantly the consumption of energy by the blockchain systems themselves. We invest a lot in let's say, in system which combines the two technologies through our research and innovation program. As said, we have launched by the end of 2019 a fund or an investment scheme in partnership with the the European Investment Forum and the European Investment Bank, which combine blockchain and AI. And this fund has been extremely successful, and we expect to extend and even to enlarge this type of action in the context of a new InvestEU program. And as stressed also by Zoran, we promote an enabling regulatory framework for blockchain, but also for the different technology, and the convergence of those different technologies, of course, at the core of our reflection for the evolution of this framework. We support standardization, and we also support skills development, and we have launched for this skills development a change project that will be addressed during this week, and we are very pleased to build on this project that will map what are the needs from the industry and what are the offers from the different education, the formal education, but also what is possible to find in vocational education. And then we expect to launch additional action in order to reinforce skills in Europe. And my last word is to say that all those actions indeed are those who have launched in the context of blockchain, but the convergence with other technology and the contribution to the European Green Deal is really to be perceived as a cross-cutting dimension that will be more and more addressed in the year to come, in particular through the new program which are launched at the European level. So I would like to stop my introduction there and to be able to provide additional elements during the panel right after this session. I would like to thank you, and I'm eager to interact with you a bit further during the day. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I have to say that I'm a bit nervous this morning because after 2 years and something, it's the first time that I come back to speak directly in front of a public. So I think that the new systems that we are using now through online, they are very good because they can reach a maximum of people. But the face-to-face is still very important to give us a sense that we are working together. So I'm very glad that Slovenia could organize this meeting, and thank you to Slovenia and also to the EU that is supporting this. So as I was introduced, I work for the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. In the UN system, we are the focal point to create standards and recommendations that can support exchange of data and international trade. So since 1970, so it's 40 years that we are on the market doing that. And today we have something like 1,000 experts working in supporting us and the whole community in creating standards that, of course, now we are also using for new technologies. So this is on semantic interoperability and all activity linked to exchange of data. So our main focus is on facilitating national and international transactions through the simplification and harmonization of processes, procedures, and international flow, so that we can contribute to the growth of the global commerce, including through supporting the development of process-based recommendation and standard on new and emergency technologies such blockchain, AI, and all the new development that we are seeing at the moment. So since the launch of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we have been calling on countries to mobilize and make efforts to end all forms of poverty, fight inequalities, and tackle climate change while ensuring that no one is left behind. This is why for us now is very important, I would say is essential, that the EU has launched their New Deal so that we can all work in the same sense. So the Agenda 2030 puts great emphasis on the role that innovation can play in support of sustainable development. Blockchain, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things can make considerable contribution to the achievements of the SDGs, but also they come with some reservation that should be outlined. And of course, as UN, we are always aware of avoiding digital divide, supporting developing countries, micro and small enterprises, especially on country in transition, developing countries, but also in our own countries, also in our countries in the developed area, especially with the pandemic, a lot of micro enterprises really suffered about what's happened and the crisis that followed. So that's why we are redoubling our effort, and we are looking at blockchain and AI application to include the establishment of identities, for example, for refugees, the tagging of information links to identities for health, social benefits, the distribution of resources, financial and material support, the tracking of goods, for example, traceability, their content and original source, so to facilitate trade, and the integration into the global value chain. The benefits are not automatic. To ensure that benefits are shared by all, we need investment in education and infrastructure, and appropriate competition and regulation that will come also from governments. Other challenges include public policy concern about privacy, security, cost, energy consumption, and public policies, as well as practical operation. So I would just like to mention among all the projects that we are working on in UNCFAC, that is the body that I represent in the UNECE, so the Center for Trade Facilitation and Electronic Business, is, I would like to present these three projects, one on the use of blockchain technology to build a platform that facilitates the exchange of digital preferential certificate of origin. This project that wants to secure the validity, the veridicity of the certificate of origin is now being tested through Australia, Singapore, and China. And it is important for Europe to see what the rest of the world is doing and to be on the same page. That's why we, as CFAC, we are global, but we are still representing our UNEC area. So we cover the EU, North America, Eastern Europe, Central Asia, so that we can have a global view, not leaving anybody behind. So from this project that started on certificate of origin, but once that will be implemented, could be easily enlarged to other certificates, we are merging, I don't know what's happened, I lost everything, sorry. We are merging a new project on artificial intelligence that should allow to have all the trade data online. And this, you can imagine how it could simplify the life of traders, but also of cross-border authorities. So another project that we are working, and I really like to mention this because our colleague Nena is working on this, and she's also the vice chair of one of our body on new technologies. And the project is the UNCFAC chain. it started with the idea of covering Europe and is now going global to develop a framework for the development and implementation of blockchain services infrastructure in compliance with the European Blockchain Partnership. And then the last project that I would like to mention, and that is very close to my heart, because here you can really see how these new technologies and our work are supporting also the environment and the circular economy, is the project on cotton leather value chain. So how to trace cotton and leather throughout the whole value chain and ensure that the environment is preserved, the rights of the labor and the resources are also preserved. So this project is very promising, has been financed by the EU, and we are now launching a first project that is going to cover Germany, Switzerland, Italy, and Egypt for the time being, and the USA are joining. And later on, we'll also cover Latin America with Peru and Uzbekistan in Central Asia. So trying to, the idea is to follow through using blockchain, all the phase of the production and then the exchange of cotton and leather, and ensure that the final user, so you as consumer, will be allowed to have an informed decision. Sorry. So with this, I will just mention that we have launched as UNEC a call, a sustainability pledge that everybody can join, companies, governments, in order to support the SDGs in this effort to trace, recycle, and have a clean environment. And I will stop here because probably I already went I spoke too much probably. So sorry. So I'm looking forward to go to the second part of this introduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this great introduction to the topic of today's discussion. So next up, we would like to invite Ms. Tonya Dembakeraki from the EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum. Welcome.
Thank you very much for your invitation and for having me here to represent the EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum. This has been an initiative initiated some time ago by the European Parliament and supported by DG Connect. Our aim and aspiration is to become a platform to facilitate dialogue, as well as present new developments in the area of blockchain across Europe and beyond. We have managed so far to do a lot of this through the development of an expert panel that sums more than 100 experts across the EU and beyond. We have experts from across the world that are supporting all our activities. Our activities aim at bringing together the blockchain ecosystem across the globe and to facilitate collaboration and policy dialogue among different stakeholders in order to make sure that the benefits of the blockchain technology are better understood by all. So we are very, very happy to be collaborating with the Slovenian presidency for the organization of the European Blockchain Week. and to host some of the workshops that are being organized within the frame of this week, including the convergence workshop, where our colleagues will be discussing how blockchain convergence is working with AI and IoT, as well as some other very interesting aspects like the energy efficiency, which is going to be discussed in a separate workshop, and which is within the heart of the EU Green Deal. I understand that there are many more colleagues that would be presenting, so I don't want to take too much time. I just want to mention that in the following roundtable, our colleague, Mr. Josip, will be representing the EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum. I thank you very much for giving me the floor today, and I wish all of success to the European Blockchain Week. Thank you.
Thank you, and now we would like to invite Mr. Mark Taverner, representative from INATBA.
So, good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Taverner from INATBA. We are the International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications. It's a pleasure to be here, and I would like to give you a little bit of a personal story to show you the distance that we've traveled in this industry. In 2015, I was working for a manufacturer of semiconductors who was one of the foundational miners of Bitcoin. And I went to visit a large, very large bank in London. I got to reception, and the message at reception was, please could you not sign the visitor's book because you would represent a reputational risk, but meet us downstairs for a discussion in Starbucks underneath the bank because we really want to learn about blockchain. How far we've traveled. Here we are today in a center dedicated to technology and blockchain, celebrating a blockchain week with the government looking at launching non-fungible tokens, with a regulator in the European Commission owning its own blockchain infrastructure and supporting the development of regulation that encourage innovation in 6 years. But there is more we can do, and that is the purpose of INATBA. We have 170 companies representing 36 countries around the world. Some of our members are here today in the audience to present the work that they have been creating. And we organize ourselves around 15 topics or 15 work groups, ranging from climate action through, of course, to finance, but also to interoperability, the development of standards, and social impact. Our team that are here today, this week to present, will be delivering the output of one of our reports that we're particularly proud of, where they looked at over 300 projects around the world that leverage blockchain to create social impact and support the UN sustainability goals. That's a great example of the power that blockchain can bring to the world that is becoming rapidly more digital, but in a world where we still lack the mechanisms to trust the data, the vast amounts of data that powerful tools such as AI need to function on effectively. So that's why we as INATBA act as the public-private platform to bring together the private sector and governments. We work very closely with regulators around the world, including our dear colleagues at the European Commission, the European Blockchain Partnership, and directly with governments to help foster education, to create banks of evidence that can inform the development of robust policy, but can also open up a window onto the vast and powerful pool of innovators who are driving the boundaries of what's possible from a technology perspective. I'm delighted to be here. I'm going to end my British accented monologue at that point for sake of sending you all to sleep on this fine morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taverner. And last but not least, I would like to invite Ms. Nena Dokuzo, the co-chair of the European Blockchain Partnership from the Republic of Slovenia.
Yes, hello everybody. I would first like to thank all of the speakers and the introductory and the welcome speakers, Mr. Simon Zeitz, our State Secretary, Mr. Zoran Stančić, Commissioner at the EU, and Maria and Mark and Vlado as well. I didn't mean to speak today, but what it was said before a little bit intrigued me, because I just wanted to point out what we did from 2018, and we really passed very hard work, very strong commitment to development of blockchain in Europe, and also we monitored how the organizations that were composed and developed at that time grew in some very content and very useful way. So first, in 2018, we started actually with that hype of ICO in 2017, and the first EU blockchain meetup happened in Slovenia. I have to say this. This was in Celje in 2017, I think, in October. There were 450 people present and presenting their projects, and we adopted Ljubljana Declaration then. And Pierre Maro, which you saw today also, he was present at that conference, and after that, European Commission adopted its own declaration. It was in April 2018. And after that, European Blockchain Partnership was created. And this was very step-by-step evolutionary development. European Blockchain Partnership was first created on the policy level, so member states were members. Then we focused into 3 or 4 main activities. First, creating European blockchain services infrastructure and creating use cases on blockchain. And then we selected 3 use cases. One was self-sovereign identity, the second was diploma on blockchain, and the third was notarization. And development started to grow. After that, we also established technical group for EBSI, and the work was very intensive, and it was led by European Commission and the conveners, and a lot of experts. Also, we had experts from Slovenian companies that contributed a lot to the development either of European blockchain services infrastructure and on use cases as well. Then European Commission initiated INADBA because we identified the need that we need to have the industry supporting all the European steps that had to be done. And the INADBA was industrial partner for growing blockchain. And I very much thank to Mark that you explained everything that you have done. I also welcome that INADBA grew in some kind of content organization dealing also with certain verticals, climate change, for example, social impact. We will have a conference on social impact next month and social innovation as well. So I will invite you to speak about this in any case. But on the other hand, you created government advisory body. So this means the strong cooperation between governments and the industrial sector. And what was expected to grow the standards here in different areas of blockchain, I hope that it will be done in the future period. Also together with UNC FACT, I have to say that I'm the head of delegation for UNC, but after that, Maria proposed to become a co-chair of advisory body for advanced technologies. So we are promoting blockchain technology and AI also in this way. And I'm also very proud that our project that also Maria mentioned, UNC Fact Chain, which is more challenging than EBSI because it goes far beyond European borders. It has a challenge how to unify the standards on extra Europe space, and it will become operational after we define legal governance and technical interoperability. And what I have to say that technical interoperability would not be such hard job to do. Harder it will be legal interoperability because we don't have common legal base for defining the standards and for unifying the approach in the international area. I would end here. I thank you very much all for your speeches and that you come to Slovenia. We are not a lot here, but yesterday, for example, we had around 300 spectators. Today, there are expected even more. We have 1,000 and plus registered for the conference, and I hope we will succeed to give blockchain and AI the importance that it deserves. Thank you very much.
So we are back again. Nena, thank you very much also for your speech. With this, we wrapped up our introductory speeches. So again, welcome all the participants to our event today. And now we are moving on to the first roundtable of the second day of the European Blockchain Week. With this, I would like to invite our moderator, Mr. Joshua Elul, of the EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum, to introduce today's participants at our roundtable. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I wish I could have joined in person in Slovenia. However, due to the situation, I was unable to. So in addition to our previous speakers, Pierre Marro, Nena Dukuzov, Maria Rosaria Petrelli, and Mark Tavener, we also have joining us Elias Yosef from the EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum. And myself, Joshua Lul, I will be moderating as well from the European Blockchain Observatory and Forum. Today we're focusing on blockchain and AI for the European Green Deal. And blockchain is often seen to be an energy-hungry machine, which we are working on more efficient protocols for. And at the same time, AI requires access to a lot of data and needs to undertake extensive number crunching to build the models we require. The Green Deal aims to minimize greenhouse emissions by at least 55% by 2030. So I'd like to ask each panel member, can you explain how the activities of your organization fit within this context? If we could start with you, Pierre.
Yes, thanks, Joshua, and hello again to all the participants. Actually, there are different ways for us to address those challenges. And if we come back to the different actions that I presented in the previous session, I insist on the fact that support to the, let's say, Green Deal objective is a cross-cutting aspect, and how to say, it's something that will take more and more importance, not only in our policy, but also in the type of action that we support at the EC level. So just to take one example, but I'm sure that Tonya will come back to it. I mean, as part of the European Observatory and Forum, to which you are also associated, we have organized, I mean, you have organized a specific workshop in order to demystify a little bit what are the issues with, specifically for blockchain regarding energy consumption, and also what are the possible options that we can do in order to let's say, to contribute to this objective. And we are also to consider, if we are referring to the blockchain specifically, that the move toward much more energy efficient system and let's say the reduction of the carbon footprint of the system will rely on different aspects. The first one is about the technology itself, or the type, and in particular the type of consensus methodology or technology that you use for the consensus. And here it's already in the report of the Astoria Forum, but it's also corroborated by another report from the University College of London. We see already a huge difference and a totally different order of magnitude between the different offer of blockchain solution, including also for the permissionless blockchain. And that's of course something that we have to exploit. In the more specific context of the European Blockchain Partnership and the European Blockchain Service Infrastructure, which is an open but permission blockchain, the choice of proof of authority already leads us to a system where the energy consumption itself is more linked to the servers that are used more than the blockchain elements of the infrastructure, which means that we have also great ambition regarding microelectronic industry and to prepare for the future, not only to prepare for the future component, but also to reassure that Europe has a central role in the production of future components. And it has been already highlighted by some studies that even if you optimize the hardware, the solution, the component in order to run those blockchain, we could already reduce the Bitcoin energy consumption by a factor 10. And so if we combine those different elements, that I think that blockchain can significantly reduce by 55% the current energy consumption if we compare with the energy consumed per transaction today. But there is also an effort to be made about which type of metrics and methodology we need in order to characterize those progress, and also which type of incentive we can give in order for people from the different and the different stakeholders to be engaged in this objective.
Excellent. Thanks, Pierre. So we really need a multifaceted approach where we're looking at the technology and we're looking at how we're applying this technology, and also how to create the right policy to make sure that we're implementing this technology in a manner that is working towards the Green Deal actions. So Nena, could we move on to you?
Okay, thank you very much. I just wanted to repeat the question because I was missing here at the beginning. But in any case, I already explained today how we approached to this issue, because we realized after 2017 and further development of blockchain initiatives and acts and all that we have in Europe, that there is still room for improvement, or there is still a challenge for broader use of blockchain. And this is what the European Commission wants to achieve, and this is what organizations like EUBOF, like INATBA, like UNCFACT wants to achieve, and this is why we are together today to find out how together can we achieve the broader usage of blockchain. Actually, we did more or less two things that were very important in Slovenia. We identified in 2018, we launched an action plan, which was a kind of strategic document. At that time, nobody had a strategic document for blockchain. And we identified the areas of intervention, where we want to implement this, which industries should be relevant for this. We have, for example, 9 areas of smart specialization. And we said, okay, we will introduce advanced technologies into 9 areas of smart specialization, taking into account blockchain and AI at the first stage. From 33 projects that we had, that we selected, there were 70% foreseeing application of AI, and there were 64% foreseen application of blockchain technologies. It was enough for taking blockchain into account, but for broader application, for real application, we still have very hard work to do, and a lot of the actions also with the European Commission. We heard what instruments of financing has the European Commission, but it's not only this way of financing, it is also raising awareness, it is also convincing the partners, it is also going into mainstream to the companies that have or that are in front of the digital transformation. So I think this is the chance now when Europe has next generation EU, and when we have recovery and resilience program, that this has to be used for broader use of blockchain, together with raising awareness, together with raising knowledge. For example, we heard yesterday about Chase project that in ADBA has been implementing, and I think that that kind of projects can be very useful and very helpful to broader use of blockchain technology.
Thanks, Dana. So indeed, we need to start seeing more applications in the wild where we're exposing our community, the public, to what blockchain actually means. And like you said, we need more education and awareness, and not just for the technologists, but for the community at large. Elias, thanks for joining. Can you let us know what activities is the organization, various organizations you're involved with, doing in this context? You're on mute, Elias.
Now you can hear me well, I hope. Yes, thank you everyone for inviting me. Before answering your this great question, I would like to give a summary of my view as a background, and I think my position is aligned, especially with what Pierre Maro mentioned before. So when considering the energy-related dimensions of a blockchain-based application, or an application to be designed, a candidate solution, a candidate technology, first of all, we need to go through, I would say, a traditional pathway, asking ourselves, let's assume that this is an IT system aimed to solve a specific problem. First of all, we need to investigate whether a blockchain component is really needed as a part of a larger system. Then the next question is to identify the appropriate type of the blockchain subcomponent. I'm saying this because, you know, there is a wide spectrum in terms of design and blockchain system implementation, spanning from public to private, from permissionless to permission, and everything in between, and hybrid solutions. And I'm mentioning this because the specific system parameters determine the energy related characteristics of this system. So these considerations are of particular importance, especially when we are dealing with systems that more or less deal with proof of work like consensus protocols. Proof of work is computation demanding, so we need to be very, very specific and careful when we are investigating those design considerations. So another dimension that fits into that context is to have a systematic methodology, if you like, in order to be able to compare the short-term energy demands of a possible architecture/system with the long-term potential energy savings that are enabled by this blockchain system. And I will relate this dimension with what is being done at my institution, which of course participates at the European Blockchain Observatory and Forum. So far, we can see that there are numerous open research questions. The type of the blockchain, the parameters, how those parameters are being set. So at the University of Nicosia, and as member of the Blockchain Observatory and Forum, as a university, at the top of our agenda is always the core, both vertical and horizontal research. So in our institution, those questions mentioned before are being part of our active agenda, and I see that the same happens for the academic and R&D labs that are active in the space. I mean, this is one of the top priorities, which is also reflected in the new phase of EU-funded projects, where the environmental issues are included in one of the main critical areas. So we are also targeting EU-funded projects that have this dimension. So now let me say a few more about the importance of doing the appropriate, posing the appropriate and correct research questions, and how this can help us address gradually this problem. I would like to refer to three keywords mentioned by Pierre Marot. Optimize, meaning referring to the optimization, metrics, methodology. The consensus protocol, how the consensus is being designed and is being implemented, is of fundamental importance in order to have a model that relates the parameters of this protocol to the possible energy related performance. So we need a way to model this. We may start from the classical, mathematical description up to the point to have a simulator. In my opinion, having a simulator in place is something that is lacking nowadays in this space. We want a reliable and easy way to quickly try different ideas and have an estimation about the performance of the consensus, the performance of the topology, etc., including the energy parameters of those systems, which, as I said, need to be first tested in a simulation-like environment. For example, take the paradigm of, let's say, civil aviation. Everything before being deployed in reality, we need to test it in simulation conditions. So it is something that is very important. Let me also try to close this part from my side by mentioning a real application that was designed, developed, and it is being used by my institution. At the University of Nicosia, we have designed, developed, and we are using a system and a methodology that uses a public blockchain, specifically the Bitcoin blockchain, in order to publish and verify the academic certificates that are being published by us. This has brought a significant automation degree compared to the traditional, admin process, and has reduced significantly the, all the processes and the respective time and hence the energy. So I'm sure that in every process, there is a room more or less to inject. I'm not saying that blockchain will solve everything, but some degrees of automations can be achieved, and this automation can be can give us efficiency, including energy. That's why I was saying before that it is important to have a methodology to capture both short-term and long-term metrics.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Zeitz. And some key takeaway messages there. So use blockchain only where it's needed, right? And if we look at the past and a lot of applications that were posing to use blockchain for anything, if you think about it, they were actually doing a disservice to the sector. So use blockchain and all other technologies only where it's needed. And the energy consumption topic that you mentioned is also very interesting, because on one side of the argument is that the energy consumption is very high. We often hear comparable to countries. The other side of the argument is that there's a lot of eco-friendly energy sources being used. And I think, like you mentioned, we need the studies to get out the right metrics in this area. And thanks for the contribution to the academic work that you're doing in this area. So it's really multifaceted approach that we need to really get an energy efficient future in blockchain towards the Green Deal. Maria Rosaria, so what are the main activities of your organization that fit into this context?
Several of the activities and the project we are working on my introduction, so I will not repeat it, but just really focus on the three main things that we are contributing in this regard. And the fact that UNCFAC, so the Center for the United Nations Center for Trade Facilitation and Electronic Business, has developed a number of deliverables which can assist with semantic in electronic data exchange and covers all the potential areas of activities of the international supply chain as transportation, logistics, commercial, financial, regulatory, and also cover many sectors like agriculture, utilities, and many others. And the interoperability between the platform is the next area we are planning to work on. And this will be complemented by the work we are doing in each domain area on how to best utilize blockchain, artificial intelligence, and all the new technologies in order to make sure that the data exchange is going to be safe and in a collaborative environment. But the other very important thing that my organization is, of course, always bearing in mind, being the United Nations, is also looking at the possible negative side of these new technologies. So first of all, the possible cost increase that these technologies will ultimately be borne on the consumer and on the most vulnerable, and the digital divide. So this digital divide was already there between developed economy, developing economy, between rich and poor people, and with the COVID, this divide has increased. So we are looking at this. We hope that we will be able to resume in-person capacity building and technical cooperation in order to train also countries and part of the population that doesn't have access to these new technologies. And then the other thing that I would like to highlight is the risk to human rights. I was following the speech of our United Nations representative for human rights, and it really struck me the fact that these new technologies could be used against some individuals, some communities that are minorities, that are not really in the good books of some policymaker and etc. So we have to bear in mind that when we use this technology, we have to safeguard all the most vulnerable, and keep in mind the basic dignity of people, the job security, and all the other important issues that are turning around it. And of course, also let's have a look on the development of micro enterprises that sometimes they might not have access, or maybe for them might be too expensive to use these technologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Rosaria. So yeah, so we have interoperability issues, technology-wise, but not just technology-wise, the regulatory and policy interoperability. And how are we going to get around this digital divide and democratization of technology? So we need to be very careful how we apply these solutions to ensure that people are still at the center of what it is that we're doing. And I now come to Mark. Mark, you have a lot of exposure to various actors in your role as the executive director at INATBA. So can you give us an overview of the context of how INATBA fits into this?
What have we at INATBA been doing to support progress towards the European Green Deal, to reduce greenhouse emissions and to become generally kinder to the environment? Well, we've not been traveling for 2 years, like many of you guys, right? This is our first venture out for a long time, and we've pivoted to digital. So as an organization, we've tried to understand how to leverage digital technologies, not just during this period of time, but going forwards. How can we build that into the way in which we work? Now, that's a very small contribution. But Joshua, I just want to come back to address the notion that blockchain, because it consumes energy, is bad. And I want to throw out there a rather, what might be, a rather contentious point of view, which is that just because blockchain consumes energy doesn't make it bad. We don't stop space exploration because an attempted touristic journey into space consumes a huge amount of rocket fuel, which is bad for the environment. We accept that because it's about innovation. We don't stop the development of aeroplanes and allowing people to move around the world, to conduct business, to undertake leisure activities, and to meet their families and to have cultural experiences, even though it's very bad for the planet. So I think I would like to decouple this myth that just because blockchain consumes energy, it makes it a very bad technology. In fact, inherent in most of the blockchain solutions, there is a disincentive for the consumption of energy. If you're an economic operator involved in a blockchain and you consume more energy than you need to, or consume more energy than your competitors, then there is an economic disincentive. So the model itself of blockchain technologies, and this is what first appealed to me in 2014, is that it fosters innovation both at a hardware, at a software, and at a supply chain level. And I want to give you a couple of examples there. At a software level, we've had discussion from some of the other contributors on the panel about the way in which the consensus algorithms, or the way that the blockchains work, are evolving to make them more efficient, whilst retaining the elements that we like, which is that they're decentralized, they provide security, and they establish mechanical trust. That innovation within software, within the models, continues. We're seeing that in the fact that 5 or 6 years ago, we maybe had a few hundred blockchain
algorithms or different protocols. Now we have a few thousand. They continue to innovate. They continue to try and find ways to deliver the values that a blockchain can provide, but for less energy consumption and for greater efficiency. So that's the software side of things. At the hardware side, there is a lot of work going on in chip design. So at the computing level, to try and get more compute power out of less silicon. And that isn't always just because the operators of these blockchains or these companies or these protocols or these projects or even the government operators are nice people. I mean, they might very well be nice people, but again, it's an economic incentive, because if you can deliver more compute power from a smaller amount of silicon, then the raw cost of managing that blockchain reduces, and therefore it becomes more sustainable. And the third area I would like to focus on is infrastructure. What blockchain technologies by and large have done is drive innovation at a data center level, where most of the world's compute power en masse is housed. So there are great advances being made in things like evaporative immersion cooling, where servers are dipped in engineering liquids to reduce their temperature of operation, thereby requiring less energy to go in trying to cool the environment, more energy going into the compute power, and that compute power, because it's running in an environment at a lower temperature, is able to work more efficiently and thereby consume less energy. So there's a lot of innovation benefits coming out, some of which fuel adjacent markets and others which directly benefit blockchain. So, as you might expect, Joshua, representing the industry, I just want, on behalf of our 170 members, to make sure that we establish the point that yes, blockchain consumes energy, but so do many other industries. But inherent within blockchain is an economic incentive to continue to innovate, to understand how to consume less energy and continue to deliver the value. Just finally, I'll touch on a few points which I can elaborate on a little bit later on, but I guess more at a macro level, at a policy level, at a forward-thinking level, we've engaged a number of our working groups and created partnerships to look at topics such as peer-to-peer energy trading and understand how policy development could support peer-to-peer energy trading with the UCL University, so the University College London, and their peer-to-peer energy trading group. We are working with our real estate work group to understand how unique object identifiers based on blockchain can track the elements that go into buildings and the negative impacts that they provide on the environment. So at a granular level, the building, the creation of new buildings and the ongoing management of those new buildings can have quantifiable data that supports the impact on the environment that buildings have. And then finally, through our climate action work group and our climate adaptation sub-work group, which spans all of our functions, we're looking at topics of not just how can we do business differently, which is the adaptation piece, given that climate change is happening, but within our climate action work group, we're looking at topics around governance, around blockchain technologies that will support how blockchains can continue to deliver their value, but with a reduced impact on the environment. And finally, Joshua, before I hand the microphone back to you, I just want to make a point that access to renewable energy is a bottleneck, and the wider industry, including governments and the supply chain, need to be more active in creating sustainable sources of renewable energy that not just the blockchain industry, but wider industries can tap into in a reliable way. And I think the energy crisis or the gas crisis that we're seeing bubbling up, if you pardon my play on words, in Europe, is a very real threat towards that vision. So Joshua touched on many topics, but what did we do as INATBA directly? Well, we didn't travel. I'll pass it back to you on that note.
Thanks, Mark. And what a great way to look at the blockchain ecosystem. To maximize profits, the sector is also trying to minimize energy consumption. Fantastic. And yet, we haven't been traveling, right? Have we learned this lesson though? Hopefully a lot of our institutions will continue to not travel so much. Thanks, Mark, for that. So coming back to you, Pierre, In your talk, you gave an overview of the actions toward converging and contributing to the Green Deal. And can you give some insights learned through the European Blockchain Partnership and any advice to any member state to prepare for these upcoming actions?
I mean, as part of our different actions, we are more or less advanced regarding the aspect concerning convergence. So through the research and innovation program at the open level, what we call Horizon Europe, and now we have the new program Horizon Europe that follows the Horizon 2020 program. I mean, we address different aspects. I mean, we address support to specific technology, which could be perceived as something which is a bit too much compartmented, sorry. But we address also the uptake of those different technology to address challenges. Could be the green challenge, it could be the mobility challenge, many other things. And it's mainly through this type of action where there are big opportunity for the researchers, the innovators, in different industry players in cooperation to combine those different technologies. So this is something that we do. Perhaps we can do it even more visible in our action, but this is something that we already support. The same regarding the support to investment, where we have already created, let's say, this pilot for investing in AI in blockchain. So we have targeted at first VC fund that put AI or blockchain or the two together as part of the investment strategy. It has worked very well. It's true that the investor in AI take a more prominent role, but blockchain is also present in this. So just to give example of action where we already very concretely work for or support the convergence aspect. We have already discussed about the role of the Observatory and Forum, so I don't want to come back to that, but you clearly to connect different experts going from different fields in order to discuss convergence or this type of issue is also very important, because the part of the discussion around the energy efficiency or energy consumption or the carbon footprint of blockchain clearly demonstrates that there is a multidimensional aspect to be taken into account, and Mark has given a very excellent overview about the different aspect of it. So now, if your question is about the European Blockchain Partnership, we are not yet really at this stage, in particular for the European Blockchain Service Infrastructure. We have started from the blockchain element because we have still to demonstrate to some administration what is the added value of using blockchain, and we are not proposing blockchain because it is a fancy technology. It's because, as stressed by Mark, there are value in using blockchain in particular to develop the trust or to ensure more trust in our system. And this is always something that needs to be taken at the core of our reflection, that is not a technology per se, it's because it helps to reinforce or either to improve the efficiency or to reinforce the level of trust that we have in the system. And this is true for interaction between humans. This is true for interaction between enterprises or organizations. This is true also for interaction between machine or devices. And but on the European Blockchain Partnership, at this stage, we are focused on the infrastructure element. But the vision, our joint vision with the member states, should be that step by step, when we develop a use case or application, we gradually integrate new elements. And this is something for which Nena has already expressed some ideas. There are indeed projects which are going there along this line, and that we hope to be able to develop with all the member states in the future, and also in cooperation with other initiatives like the one of the United Nations.
Excellent, thanks, Pierre. So there's many different challenges, perspectives, and different expertise that within the different member states. And I guess if we all come together as different member states with our different expertise, we can really help to put Europe and keep Europe at the forefront of blockchain development and research. So coming to you, Nena, given your experience both within Slovenia and within the European Blockchain Partnership, how do you see that we can boost the uptake of these technologies? And are there any good practices that you can recommend?
Thank you, Joshua. I think that the question shall be opposite. How shall technology lead us to put the things together and also to integrate this into not only policy but also a regulatory framework? It is a challenge. It is a challenge because if we cannot regulate technology as such, we need to regulate the environments around technology. So the partnership, maybe the role of European blockchain partnership in the future steps or in the future years shall be focused in this. The European Commission is already trying to regulate some certain areas like digital finance, like ethical areas and so on. But I think that we need first the integrated approach. The second, to identify which areas shall be regulated here, not only financial, taxation and so on, but also how to approach that integration of technology in different stages. For example, we now, when we were preparing National Recovery and Resilience Plan, we very much foreseen the energy efficiency projects and also the deployment of blockchain technology within this, but not as blockchain as such, as energy efficient technology, but how can blockchain contribute, for example, to energy efficiency, how it can contribute to material efficiency, how it can contribute to traceability of the materials in the circular economy, in circular construction, how to, for example, go into the reform of ETS coupons to make it more tradable and so on. So there are certain areas that we need to be active. We actually a little bit go wider with those three additional use cases: social security, asylum, and SME financing. But there is still a challenge how to cover certain pillars of the industry so that we can have, on one hand, the content financed. On the other hand, we need the certain interventions into the legislation or to see how the legislation can respond to the new technology. So we also decided to establish a sandbox exactly in the energy efficiency field to see how the regulators and the technology innovators and providers can find the common denominator when it comes to the change of the legislation. And I think that also the experience is, I think EUBOF is, in the second edition, is putting very much effort into some expert development of certain areas, and this would be very helpful. The reports from INATBA are definitely very helpful. The projects that UNCFACT is providing are definitely very helpful. And if we merge all together and we pull the knowledge from this, I think that we can make very good steps forward. We had yesterday one high-quality panel of the ecosystems, different ecosystems, different participants were there, and there was really rich and fruitful discussion about this. And also we found out that we cannot agree on certain areas, that every ecosystem has its own specific area, and if we merge this together, if we compose some converging approach, then we can probably very good support the technology as such and its development in the further period. Thank you.
Thanks, Nana. Yeah, so in implementing these use cases, like you said, we need to educate the key players, the regulators, the technologists know what they're doing, and the technologists communicate this to the policymakers. So we have some challenges ahead, right? And sandboxes might be the right way to get there, where the regulators can learn with the players themselves. And looking at convergence of two different areas, so at least from the technology point of view, blockchain and AI. So blockchain, really, it's been around for the past decade or so. AI has years and years of history. So Elias, there's talk about convergence of the two, but there's little talk taking place in regarding to the true potential, the limitations, and the current state of affairs when it comes to blockchain and AI integration. Given your expertise in the area, can you enlighten us a bit in regards to the state of the state of affairs and challenges?
Thank you, Joshua. This is an excellent question for many, many reasons. One of those reasons is the fact that we all keep hearing about those magical things, emerging technologies coming together. Somehow we are reading a lot of articles, but when we are going through those articles, opinions, etc., at the critical points, the determining details are somehow missing there. So what I'm trying to say, as you did in your introduction, there is we know that there is potential. A lot of things are being said, but something is missing. So we could easily have I don't know a very, very long discussion, but I will try to synopsize things. When talking about the integration of blockchain and AI, okay, when we are talking about AI, most probably we're talking about machine learning, which is special field of AI. So we need first of all to consider, I would say, a challenge number 0, not a number 1. So we need to acknowledge that different experts, groups of experts, should come together, and those experts should work in a common ground, having a common vocabulary. So acknowledging this and bringing together the experts needed, it's the number 1, the top priority, the challenge number 0. So next, we need to take an architectural, or if you like, a view to take a step back for a little and consider what we are trying to study, to consider, and see the overall framework where AI and blockchain can coexist. I would say that there are, in general, two basic forms of those systems. The first form has to do with systems, processes, etc., where different components coexist, the one next to the other, without a substantial synergy. Take, for example, an intelligent autonomous agent. You may consider an autonomous robot, an autonomous car, etc., which is equipped with different technologies. You may, for example, say, okay, we can have an autonomous agent having capabilities including speech recognition and natural language understanding, image processing, image video processing. And among these capabilities, we may have a blockchain-related component having to do with some the economics, the incentive of those autonomous agents. But those components are not truly integrated. This is the first form. The second form has to do with systems where blockchain and AI are tightly integrated. And under this second form, one may have two cases, two very broad cases. please allow me to refer to them simply as follows: AI at the service of blockchain, and /or blockchain at the service of AI. Obviously, both cases are valid. We can easily have systems that fall under these two cases. So very quickly, let's examine each case. Let's take, for example, the AI at the service of blockchain. There, we can have intelligent algorithms operating at the core of blockchain-related protocols, like the consensus algorithms, and this is related to the introductory question and discussion about energy. So we need some optimization techniques there to help us understand an optimized and more efficient way to have blockchain systems operating. Another application type is to employ AI at the analytics part. I mean, we can have AI as an afterthought, analyzing past transactions, trying to identify patterns, groups of addresses, communities of users, abnormalities, anomalies in the transaction, doing the monitoring stuff in an attempt to better understand what is happening there, both at the transaction as well as the user type. Also, we may have AI at the business level, where intelligent AI algorithms, especially natural language processing, are consuming news, social media, regulation-related documents in an attempt to understand what is happening at various levels in the business. So this is AI at the service of blockchain. Regarding the other type, the blockchain at the service of AI, we may have, blockchain as a medium for ensuring the integrity of data that are being consumed by machine learning algorithms, or blockchain as a way to bring together different AI systems. In the field of machine learning, there is a subfield dealing with the fusion of different decisions made by different systems. This is the a way of high-level fusion. One may think of smart contracts that are similar to the voting process being used in the area of fusing the different AI decisions. And of course, we may have AI in the context of machine-to-machine transactions, which can easily thought as the future of the defined decentralized finance. So more or less, this is the landscape. In my view, I think that right now we are focusing mainly on the AI at the service of blockchain case, with a special focus on the analytics part. I mean, to have AI-related algorithms, very frequently unsupervised learning like clustering techniques, in an attempt to analyze and monitor the transactions and the users and the wallets, etc. In my opinion, what is missing, and this is the challenge for the near future, is to put AI at the service of blockchain, but at the core, to put AI at the protocol level and let AI guide us for achieving more efficient and intelligent consensus, for example. Let AI to guide us to have some adaptation regarding the operation of the blockchain system at various levels, as I said, both at the consensus level, both and the peer-to-peer level. So, in summary, I think that for sure there is potential. We need to redirect at the critical points this potential.
Excellent. Thanks, Elias. So there's still a lot of work to be done, and we're running out of time. We have 5 minutes left or so. So to close off, Maria Rosaria, could you give us a bit of insight in regard to the experience you have in the trade and transport facilitation? What should we expect to see by 2030 in regards to blockchain and AI?
So red tape in cross-border procedure is especially heavy, especially for micro, small and medium enterprises, and also for developing countries. So blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the other new technologies can lead to immutable original electronic certificate, licenses and declaration that can be linked with goods to speed up custom procedure at the border, sanitary and phytosanitary controls, and to verify other required trade documents for regulatory compliance. In this way, global supply chain can be enhanced. I just want to recall, at the beginning of the pandemic, at one point, all the trade in the world stopped, and this was a major problem. We couldn't get the machine for the hospital, we couldn't get the mask, we couldn't get a lot of equipment that were needed. And this was in a lot of cases because we are still crossing border with paper documents. So you can imagine how blockchain and AI can be used there, and this is what we are working on. This is where we see the major input and the major benefits. So blockchain and AI can provide a very high level of reliability of this data exchange if it's supported by their regulators. So these are the thing that we need. About 2 years ago, UN CFACT has created a new body, the AGAT, that is the advisory group on advanced technologies, and Nana is our vice chair there. And this was to monitor, study, and analyze the latest development and also the use cases of advanced technologies application, as well as the challenges and the obstacles that we are facing with these new technologies. Since then, the participation and the interest in this work has continued to increase exponentially. So artificial intelligence is highly promising for international trade and logistics, as many of the routine tasks, business procedure, data flows can be automated and further optimized using artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques. Digital supply chain can be automated, and the relationship between the parties can either that are domestic or international can be streamlined, and the error caused by manual data entry can be reduced by applying artificial intelligence. So in this is also confirmed by one of our projects that we are running in UNCFACT, the use of artificial intelligence for trade facilitation. This project is exploring the best practices in the implementation of the data flow during the cross-border trade, and how AI could be used to facilitate trade in the global international chain, and how AI can facilitate it. So we continue to work on this because we see the potentialities. We are also another project that is using Internet of Things in order to standardize the information. So the potential is very high. It's important to implement it in the right way, and I'm sure all this technique will facilitate our life if we are on the driving chair and allowing them not to cause harm to anybody. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Maria Rosario. Just to close off, the final question, in heading towards this future, Mark, what is INATBA doing in regards to a sustainable and circular economy in this direction?
Thank you, Joshua. I'm going to ask you a question back, actually. Joshua, do you know how you kill a frog?
I don't remember. I was too young.
Okay. So the way you kill a frog, and this is not technically accurate, but it makes the point very well. You put it in a pot of cold water on a stove, and you start heating the water up. The frog will sit in the water until it gets warmer and warmer and eventually dies because it doesn't recognize what's happening in its environment. Let's do something, Joshua, huh? Let's not be frogs. Let's not recognize that the environment is changing and just sit here comfortable, fat, and happy in our Western world. Let's make something happen. So as INATBA, we're pushing for change, we're pushing for innovation, we're pushing for action, we're pushing for implementation. And I'll be very brief, Joshua, because I feel very passionate about this and could talk, much to the audience's disdain, for maybe an hour and a half on this topic. So let me try and summarize up what INATBA would like to see. And a lot of this is featured in our report on climate action, which is on our website, published on the 15th of June. The Paris Agreement itself pulls in various actors from around the world who naturally don't trust each other, can't trust each other, and don't want to trust data. That's not going to change. But given that the Paris Agreement requires the measurement of data, it requires efficiency, it requires transparency, wouldn't that be a really great place to start deploying AI and blockchain, to build trust, to increase efficiency, to provide transparency on the measurement of data, and to demonstrate how steps towards what was laid out in the Paris Agreement are being reached or not? So from INATBA's perspective, we call for action. Debate and discussion is very valuable, but it doesn't move us forwards. So let's innovate, let's put into implementation, let's start with the sandboxes that all of my panelists have referred to, and let's build some tools that help us not be dead frogs.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark, for that. So to close off, yes, let's use blockchain to see us through this Green Deal. I would like to thank all the panelists and wish you the rest of a pleasant conference.